Hello, my dear ones. Welcome to Jessica's Intuition. Welcome to the astrological forecast for the full moon in Libra. We have on Sunday, the 13th April, we have the full moon in the sign Libra, at 23 degrees at 2:22 in the morning or night, Central European time, depending on where you are watching from. So here in Germany, it is at 2:22 in the morning. This is a very, very important full moon as well. This is also, in retrospect, the peak of a lunar cycle. It could naturally be from the last new moon we had in March. We had on the 29th March, the new moon. And in the sign of Aries, with the solar eclipse, this is again looking back, also considering what has happened over the last 2 years. This is also a conclusion. Or we can also see it from last year, when we had the solar eclipse, when we had the new moon in Libra. Don't let me lie now. I believe that was at the beginning of October. Yes, the 2nd. It was October 2nd, 2024. We had the new moon in Libra then. Maybe you can look back at what was happening at that time. I was actually on vacation at that time. I just remembered. At that time, I had already stopped reading cards. It had a lot to do with myself as well. As I said, feel free to look at what was going on with you. I have already said it's a very important full moon. As I said, this is the end. Something is allowed to come to an end, an ending. The climax of a moon cycle, what is to be completed, perhaps also turning points for some. Libra always wants to balance something. It stands for balance also, for the beautiful things in life. Yes, also for our finances, for love, for partnership, but also for interpersonal relationships. Perhaps also things that are unconscious. So in any case, the full moon, I have the feeling, will change quite a bit with the full moon. As I said, we will definitely be able to conclude things that we might not have been sure about. It can also mean, yes, where might something still be out of balance for you? What is allowed to come back into balance now, or generally come into balance? What was unbalanced there? Independent of love now. In all areas, in all aspects of life, as I said, in interpersonal relationships, wherever you would like to look, I have already laid out a few cards that I think are very important here, and I will return to them shortly. First of all, as I said, this is about the full moon. We actually have on the same day, a short time later, also on the 13th April, we have Venus. So when we have the full moon, Venus is still retrograde. Venus is currently still in Pisces. But then at 3:02 a.m., as I said, a short time later, 40 minutes later, it will go direct in Pisces at 24 degrees. So yes, I would say it like this. It can actually also mean for some people that we want to move forward in our relationship again when Venus is direct again. We also have Mercury, which already went direct on the 7th, became direct again on the 7th April. And that can actually mean for some people, yes, that we might also question partnerships. We are still in, or generally whatever you are involved in, or have already been questioned. So retrogrades, this has been the kind of energy where we are thrown back into the past. It can also mean that for someone from the past has come, or with them, someone has returned. Someone has re-established contact with you, or perhaps things have simply resurfaced from the past, yes, that you were allowed to look at again, and now finally. When Venus also goes direct again on Sunday, it can actually mean that it's like a turning point, but as mentioned, what needs to come back into balance now? Where do I perhaps no longer feel comfortable in the relationship? What do I no longer want to maintain? What do I want to conclude? What indeed can also be completed? Where is there an end? Where does one want to continue or intensify something? And these are all topics that we will be confronted with in the near future. It can also actually mean that some may realize, hey, perhaps separation is indeed the best option. Or if nothing changes anymore, or if you reach a point where you're just going in circles, you'll realize, no, I simply don't want this in my life anymore. I want this out of my life. Yes, it's like you're somehow averse to it, that you just want it out of your life. You want to get rid of it. That sounds so dismissive now. You don't want it anymore. In your life, in the here and now, and what also plays a very important role. We have the sun in Aries. We also have Chiron, which is still in Aries. And for me, that's also like this energy of inner healing. That perhaps many healing issues are coming up again now, or that things are being healed, things are being processed. Yes, old injuries, old wounds, inner healing here is a very, very important topic. Also with Chiron. And I believe some people are already feeling it, already sensing it, probably noticed it in the past weeks. If not, then it will also become noticeable for some by the weekend. And I also believe that energies are flowing. They don't have this specific time where we can say it's exactly at 2:22 a.m. when the full moon is, and that's exactly the peak. No, each person will feel it differently. Not everyone feels it at the same time. For some it might be earlier, for others later. It can be exactly at that time, but it doesn't have to be. By the way, we also have a portal day on Sunday, the 13th. April is a portal day, so it's already very, very high vibrating. The portal day time always vibrates before and after. We also have another portal day 2 days later on Tuesday. So it will be a very intense time now. Even when the full moon is there and reaches its peak. And yes, I think some people can conclude many things. As I said, either we want to move forward with the relationship, with the partnership, we set new goals, new projects, or there will actually be, for some, there will be turning points, which also means completions, endings, relationship endings, and that many or some will actually separate. Right? Yes. Regarding the financial factor, I would also actually say it can flow again. I believe some have noticed it. Now also, thanks to Mercury, that it is again, that Mercury is direct again. Well, I actually had 1 or 2 technical problems. Daily, one or another technical problem. Also the pronunciation, the way of thinking, it has changed and altered for me from time to time. And that's what I also told you in the March and April forecast in astrology, predicting that we want to change things again, that we will change our ways of thinking again. And finally, now that it is direct again, it can actually be the case for some, if someone from the past has come back, that with the direct motion, the person simply disappears again. These are all things that happen, that can be possible. Exactly. Maybe some should also set boundaries. Be ready to set boundaries. Be ready. Yes. Also, to pursue their own goals now, to focus more on themselves and their own needs. What do I really want? Do I want to go there? Libra always wants to balance, wants to please others as well. But we also simply have this strong Aries energy with the sun, and it's like, no, it's not exactly the same, but there's also a square during this time where it can actually be that we're a bit conflicted, that we're a bit, Venus wants to balance, Aries wants to go headfirst through the wall. And ultimately, everyone has to decide for themselves what they want to do. And I don't want to suggest anything to anyone. I do like to give a suggestion or a tip now and then, don't I? But everyone simply has to listen to their own heart and intuition, which is also a very, very important factor with intuition during the full moon. Spirituality is very much in the foreground here, also on this day or generally during this time. And we also have the fish energy that is in the field. That a lot of spirituality is simply present. Just listen to your intuition here. What sounds right to you, but it also feels right to you. Feel within yourself. And I would actually say, for some, as I said, at the latest, when we also have the Venus moving direct again. For some, we will see more clearly, gain more clarity. This can actually be important here also for the next steps. Where should it go? As mentioned, whether in partnership, separate paths, whether one finds a way together, or also the topic of job. Just as mentioned, the financial aspect, if you notice you're no longer satisfied with your job, or you realize, hey, the financials just don't fit, then it's also about making decisions now. That's how it is now. I told you that. In the astrological interrogation, I told you that. Mid-April at the latest, by the end of the month. Or make a list now of what you might want to tackle by the end of the month. As mentioned, now can actually be a turning point for some where one might want to make decisions. Yes, that's what I wanted to say here for now. Sorry. I also believe those who will actually notice it the most are definitely Libra and Aries. These are the cardinal signs. So I would actually say Cancer and Capricorn as well. We have 23, 24 degrees. So I would actually say between 20 and 27 degrees. Libra, Cancer, Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn, 20 to 27 degrees. I'll go like this. 3 degrees down, 3 degrees up. We have 23, 24 degrees here, so 20 to 27 degrees. I would actually also say Pisces. Venus is currently in Pisces at 24 degrees. I would definitely say that as well. Also the Pisces who have Pisces, or for example, I actually have Venus in Pisces. I also find that very exciting. And yes, that can actually be the case. I'll put it this way. I would also say 21 to 27 degrees Pisces. That's how I would say it here as well. Actually, also look at where you have Pisces in your horoscope. I always have a link in the info box below where you can calculate your birth chart. There you can also easily see where your Venus is, where Pisces is in your chart. Or if you have anything there at all. That is always very helpful. And yes, I think, as I said, those were the signs where I would say they actually feel it the most or the most intensely now with the full moon. That is, of course, yes. For them, the most decisive, or rather, they feel it more intensely the most. So, in any case, as I said, there will be a lot more clarity coming in by the end of the month. Also, in which direction it may go for one or the other. Whether one has this certain urge to continue to go on alone, to continue together, or also in another direction. This is the urge to act. That one kind of has this conscience or relationship, not conscience, that's wrongly said, that one kind of has this realization, this enlightenment, just a feeling I also have that's kind of like, I must honestly say, in the past few days, I've repeatedly seen the moon in the evenings. Actually, just like now, it is still growing. Even when I stayed a bit longer in the extra seat, I then looked at the clock. At 22:22, I thought to myself, okay, you'll make use of the moonlight now. I did this on my phone, had the window slightly open, and really positioned my head to the side to catch a bit of the moonlight. And I also had a few thoughts. Yes, and I truly believe it really shines. I can't say otherwise. It's really bright. Also, I find the night, and I'm curious about what will come our way in the near future. My dear ones. Yes, as I said, just see where you feel comfortable, whether you still feel comfortable in your relationship at all, whether you still feel comfortable in your surroundings at all, whether it's the romantic partnership now, the interpersonal, as I said, friendship, family, whatever, work relationship, whether you still feel comfortable there. If not, then, now is the time to embrace change. Yes, and I would actually say that's how it is. My closing words are, Short and sweet, as I said, I mentioned, there will be astrological predictions and no more card readings, my dears. And I am very curious. We have a short time later. So as I said, this is for Sunday, of course. You can watch it afterwards. The energies are still there. Yes, we have. On Tuesday, we have another portal day, the 15th April. And then on the 16th, in April, we have Merkel, who, as I said, has been in direct power since April 7th. April. It then turns in the sign again, 8:12 a.m. I tell you about it, as I said, I made the astrological prediction. I can only recommend it to everyone. Take a look at it. Down here in the corner, I'll link it for you once at the end of the video. There's the playlist. You can look back at it anytime. Feel free to check it out again, always. And yes. Mercury then moves into Aries. I believe that will change quite a bit again, so the Pisces energy is somewhat dreamy. That one is still a bit dreamy, perhaps not seeing things clearly yet. And I think when Mercury is back in Aries, we'll have more clarity again, more breakthroughs. My dear ones, at this point, I would say I'm done with the astrological forecast for the full moon in Libra on the 13th, April 2025. I truly wish you a wonderful full moon. Make the best of it. Enjoy the full moon. And yes, all the best. And until the next video. Bye-bye.